Welcome to r/Am I the Jerk, where Karen demands a food truck. Would I be the jerk if I refused to clear my mom's debt so she can buy a food truck? My mother got herself into an MLM scheme last year, despite my brother and I warning her against it. She quit her job because the MLM scheme people told her that this was her chance to become an entrepreneur and independent. My dad is supporting her financially now, and my 4 younger siblings, but she pretty much gave up on the oils after selling them to everyone she knows. She still has a lot more left to sell, but now she wants to do something else because she doesn't feel like she's her own boss under this MLM company. She overestimated how many people want to buy her product, and now she's thousands of dollars in debt. She won't get a job, and my dad can't afford to pay it off without selling the house and his car. My brother has 3 kids in private school. He doesn't have much money to spare. I'm on maternity leave, and the amount she needs will wipe out my savings, and I'd have to use my husband's money as well to cover this debt, which I don't think is fair. Especially since she doesn't want to get a job after this debt is cleared because she's an entrepreneur at heart, and working for someone's company is soul-crushing. She wants to open a food truck even though they aren't popular in the town she lives in, and they always go out of business. My mom isn't a bad cook, but she's competing with professional chefs, and I'm sure she'll give up as soon as it gets hard. My dad says he plans to sell the house and his car and move his tenants out of the apartment he owns. My mom called me crying because she loves her neighborhood and has lived here for 35 years. She says I'm selfish and evil for not paying her debt because she'll pay me back when she expands her food truck business. She doesn't understand why I don't just use my husband's money since he won't notice it's gone. My mom has threatened to not allow me to see my younger siblings who I'm close with and to have me exiled by our entire family. Would I be the jerk if I refused to clear this debt even though I could because my mom's threatening me? Not the jerk. You said you're on maternity leave. Do not wipe out your savings to bail out your mom. You need that money for your own kids. Do not harm your kids' future because of your mother's irresponsible actions. She's perfectly capable of getting a job on her own and dealing with her debt on her own. She just doesn't want to. And she's horrible for wanting to harm her grandkids' future to do so. There's a saying, don't ever loan money to family that you can't afford to lose. Considering your mother's history, you can't believe her promise to pay you back, even if she had a contract signed. She's coming to you for a loan instead of a bank because she won't have to pay you back or worry about legal consequences. And the fact that she's resorting to emotional manipulation to get you to change your mind shows you that she knows that. Basically, your mother is an adult. She needs to grow up and get herself out of her mess. Selling on Facebook, lowballed, accepted their offer, and had them meet me at the local pub. When I list something on Facebook Marketplace, I do it with the intention of selling it basically right away. What does this mean? It means my price is low, sometimes too low, and firm. I don't budge on price, but that has never mattered. They always try to buy it at full price anyway. I absolutely hate getting 50 "is it still available" messages. When I get one of those, I just delete and ignore. A few days ago, I was selling a set of new takeoff tires and wheels. MSRP was in the $2,500 range. Used prices were in the $1,500 to $2,000 range. I listed these at $1,000. Within an hour, I had probably 20 messages about them. My response is always the same. The price is the price. I will not hold them. First come, first serve. One of the guys who messaged me offered $250. These are a slow sell at $2,000, but a near instant sell at $1,000. There's no world where $250 was an appropriate offer. So I told him that. My word for word, punctuation for punctuation response to his offer was no. But that didn't stop him. He justified his offer by sending several listings showing other tires, etc. So I blocked him and moved on. Fast forward 10 minutes, and I get another message from a different Facebook account with the same offer. This guy was now using a second Facebook account, so I blocked his second account. And then he did it with a third account. I was done at this point. Clearly, I couldn't win by just blocking and moving on. This guy was relentless. His strategy was to literally annoy the crap out of you until you just say yes, and blocking his accounts wouldn't work. Who knows how many accounts this guy had? And so I did what any other sane person would do and accepted his $250 offer. I told him I would take his offer, but that he would have to meet me later that night, as I was currently busy. He said that he was about a 2-hour drive from me and asked to meet halfway. I said no. He was eager to make a quick buck off me, so he agreed to drive to me. There's a street in our town that has a few pubs on it. 3 of these pubs are within about half a mile of each other, kind of set up so you park on the street and walk between them. And these pubs are usually busy by 11 p.m. By busy, I mean there's zero parking anywhere. You usually have to park at least half a mile away and walk to the pub. And so I did what any sane person would do and set the meet for 11 p.m. at one of these local pubs. I sent him a message at around 10:45 p.m. and asked him to meet me in the pub, and we could walk over to my truck and grab the wheels and tires. He messages me at 11 p.m. telling me he's out front. There's no way to park out front without blocking the entire street, and traffic is usually heavy at 11, meaning he couldn't just wait out front, he would have to move. So again, I did what any sane person would do and waited until about 10 minutes after 11 to message back. In that 10 minutes, I received no less than 20 messages from him. These messages painted an amazing picture. As he grew more and more frustrated, he sent screenshots of his location, asking if he was in the right place, as he kept telling me he would drive down the block and circle back. You get the point. 10 minutes later, I sent a simple, "Sorry about that, didn't see your message. I'm at the bar in XYZ pub. Just park and come in. I'll grab you a beer." He accepts the offer, parked what I assume was half a mile away, and walked to the pub. 10 more minutes of me not responding, and 20 messages later, I sent a simple, "Sorry about that, didn't see your message. I walked down to this other pub, about 500 yards away, thinking you may be there. Meet me down here." Fast forward until right around midnight, I had made this man drive 2 hours one way, walk at least 2 miles, go into all 3 pubs, and go off on me every way to Sunday. And he was still 2 hours from home. So I did what any sane person would do and turned off Facebook notifications and went to bed. Oh, and the wheels and tires sold earlier that day for exactly $1,000. My boyfriend didn't buy me a boba. Okay, so it's not just the boba. Let me preface it with that. It's a million little things and some way bigger ones. We moved in together 6 months ago. Things are normally chill. We get along, we hang out. However, I feel like he doesn't think of me. I asked him to do the dishes. He'll leave them for 3 or 4 days, molding in the sink, until finally my roommates or I do it because it's nasty and has to be done. There's no forks. I'll ask him over and over again, and he just won't do it. I work from home and he works from outside the house, so I have more wiggle room to do chores, so I do more chores. I figured he would compensate by pulling more weight in another area. For instance, he makes 3 times the salary I do. 3 times. But he wants me to pay 50-50 on our dates, which would be fine if I didn't buy and cook most of our at-home meals and also do the majority of the chores. That's not fair. That's not 50-50. He also doesn't pay any of my rent or bills. When I brought this up to him the first time, he didn't believe that I did that much for him. He thought we did equal chores and food buying. I had to start sending him literal receipts and have him compare each of our contributions. I also started sending him lists of things I did every day so that he would know what I had done, and I had records too. I thought maybe he really didn't know, and maybe he would change his attitude and pick up more slack in other areas. But no, he still wants us to go half and half with money, and does more chores now, but certainly not half. For example, he put laundry in the wash, but then asked me to do the folding, the most labor-intensive part of laundry. And he will buy groceries and cook, but he makes maybe 1 meal for my 4, and he will get takeout for us at least once a week, which I know is more expensive, but that's the cost of not putting the labor in to cook it yourself. Since I put my labor in for my food and he didn't, it's 1 meal of mine is equal to 1 meal of his, in my opinion. But he says since takeout costs more money, it counts as multiple of my home-cooked meals, which I don't think is fair. Anyways, I recently bought a lot of groceries. I cooked meals and he ate 5 of them. He also drank all of my bottle of alcohol and the soda and juice that I bought. Then he asked me out to boba. The day after, I cooked him dinner and he finished off my alcohol, and he had me pay for my own boba. It was $6. And when he bought his own, he didn't tip. The man makes 6 figures. I'm feeding him with the food I bought using food stamps, and he invited me on a date and made me pay, after eating my food and drinking my drinks. I don't know how to explain to him that him not paying for a boba really upset me. I don't know how to explain why I feel like this is just another sign on the highway of consistent disrespect. Every time I try to explain this to him, his solution is to just stop doing things for each other. But in my opinion, that's not a partnership. That's a bad roommate who just wants to hook up. My other roommate who travels for work and has maybe been at home half the time my boyfriend has cleaned the kitchen more times than my boyfriend has, by a significant amount. And on top of that, I had a break to grab coffee in between work sessions. I told him I had 3 minutes before I had to go back. He chose right then and there to ask me why I was upset with him. Like I just told you, I have 3 minutes before returning to work. Why would he ask me a serious question and expect an answer right then? Like I just told you, I'm on a time crunch. I feel like this kind of thing happens a lot. It's small, subtle, but it's also big. I just don't think he considers others. Edit. We live in a 3-bedroom and we each pay for our respective rooms splitwise. Yes, we each have our own rooms. I like my girly space and he snores. We split utilities evenly. I do not pay for his rent and he does not pay for mine. This is not a man or a partner or someone who truly loves you. This is a leech that you love. I'm sorry. I mean, he told you what your options are, OP. Either he does nothing for you and you do nothing for him, or you suck it up and pull more than half your weight. If he wanted to be a better partner, he would have done it already. No point beating a dead horse by talking about it for the millionth time. There's obviously a third way to go. I'm not sure if you're fed up enough to do it yet, but you will be. Just leave. He makes 3 times what you do and couldn't buy you a bubble tea on the date he asked you out on? He's pretending he doesn't know what's up. It's called weaponized incompetence. You keep allowing him to treat you this way. He will continue to play innocent. Why are you staying? Stop cooking, stop cleaning, and stop doing his laundry. Am I the jerk for telling my mother-in-law to please keep her criticisms to herself and eventually kicking her out of lunch? I, 32 female, am a mom to a beautiful daughter who's 6, and she's been telling me all about a new cafe that her friend went to which serves princess cakes. She says it's very fancy and people only go for special occasions when they can dress up. I had a look online and they specialize in high teas. It looked lovely and I knew it would make my daughter happy, so I booked a table. Unfortunately for me, this place is brand new and very popular. So while I initially wanted to book for Mother's Day in a couple of weeks, I could only arrange a table for today. I thought we could still do it as an early Mother's Day celebration, so I also invited my mom, who's 60, and my mother-in-law, who's 64. My daughter was so excited. She wore her favorite dress and told everyone that she would be just like a princess. It was lovely to share her joy. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, was not so thrilled. Now, it's important to note that while my mother-in-law has a heart of gold, she is very salt of the earth and is quite frugal. I genuinely don't mean this as a criticism, it's just who she is. Despite it being my treat, my mother-in-law insisted that the whole thing was a waste of money, that the cakes were beyond ridiculous in their size, and it was all a bit pretentious. She is obviously entitled to her opinion, but I could clearly see that her comments were sapping some of my daughter's joy. Even when my daughter said that this is what princesses eat, after a comment about how ridiculous it all looks, my mother-in-law said that princesses would want a proper meal and not something that is fit only to feed birds. Eventually, I asked my mother-in-law to accompany me to the bathroom, and I asked her to please keep her criticisms and negative comments to herself. We were trying to have a nice day together, but more importantly, my daughter had really been looking forward to this, and it was so difficult for her to enjoy when someone else is constantly acting negative. My mother-in-law said that I was giving my daughter far too much credit. She wouldn't understand half of the criticisms, and even if she did, it's important that she understands the value of money. Eventually, I asked her to please leave if she couldn't let my daughter enjoy herself, which is what she did. Now my mother-in-law is telling the family that I cut her out of the Mother's Day celebration because she was too frugal and couldn't pander to a kid. I know she's being ridiculous, but my husband is saying I could have just kept the peace for a couple of hours, but I instead chose to act drastically. He said the family being together is more important than whether someone feels a restaurant is overpriced. Did I act drastically? Was I the jerk? Not the jerk, and your husband is 100% wrong. I hate this notion that family being together is more important. No, it's not. In this case, if someone is being rude throughout the meal, you should get them to leave. Why excuse their bad behavior? Oh, just keep the peace. It's more important for family to be together. No, it isn't. Not if you're making everyone else uncomfortable. Please show this to your husband. It was revealed that my dad has a secret other family, and now there's drama. The story is that my dad had a kid with another woman shortly after he married my mom, but before I was born. My brother that I didn't know is about 32. I'm 28 female, and my younger brothers are 26 and 24. My dad gave the other woman money over the years, and her and my brother knew my dad was married and had a family, but none of us knew about them. The only reason my brother, who's 32, revealed this secret is because his son needs a bone marrow transplant, and they're looking for a match, and anyone with a blood relation is the best chance for one. My mom feels betrayed, obviously, and I doubt their marriage will survive. But I hate all this drama and gossiping that is happening in my family. I hate drama in general, and this is like my worst nightmare. How's your mom doing? How are you feeling? OP, my mom is devastated. She went to stay with my grandmother and my great aunt. I'm torn between worried about her, angry at my dad, and worried about my nephew. So I'm all over the place. How did your brother get in touch with you? Did he find you on Facebook? Did he get your number from your dad? Or did dad refuse and try to block him from contacting you? OP, he hired a private investigator. He contacted us against my dad's will. Dad had told him not to contact us, but this wasn't a normal situation where he just wanted to tell us for fun. It was because his son's life was at stake. He's only met my dad twice before this, once when he was in college, and the second time for my dad to be tested to see if he was a match. Dad isn't on the birth certificate and wasn't involved in his life at all, so it's not as though my brother knew where to find us. Update, 18 months later. My mom divorced my dad. She could not get past the infidelity and didn't believe my dad that it was only a one-time indiscretion. She was devastated when she found out. She's doing better now, but it still hurts sometimes. They were married for 34 years, so it's been a big adjustment for her. Regarding my nephew, it turns out that while no one in my family is a match, my brothers, my uncle, and my cousins all got tested, the then girlfriend, now fiance, of my cousin was a match. She agreed to be a donor. It was a complete fluke because she isn't genetically related to my nephew, but she has given him a second chance and had no hesitation about agreeing to donate. Everything went as well as it could have, and my nephew is doing great. We've been getting to know my brother, his wife, and my nephew. My brother has only met or talked to my dad twice in his life. Total times for both meetings together was less than 30 minutes. My dad was never involved in his life and was against him contacting us. We don't care what my dad says though. My brother wasn't trying to get money or anything from us. It was just about trying to save my nephew. Am I the jerk for going to eat at a hospital cafe roughly once a week? My sister and family are telling me it's wrong. Okay, hear me out. I work just a few blocks away from a hospital and get there pretty quickly by bicycle. Their cafeteria is quaint with good prices, so usually once a week or so, I'll go there for lunch. The food isn't what I would call amazing, but they have nice variety from time to time. The staff even recognize me and are always pleasant. They don't mind that I'm there just for lunch, and it's far quieter eating there than any local restaurants. I'm on the spectrum and don't like loud noises, so the quiet lunches in this place are a godsend for me some days. Recently, my sister found out I've been eating at the hospital and went off on me over how hospital cafeterias are only supposed to be for people who are at the hospital because they need to be. I retorted that I was giving them business, and it's not like I was taking food out of the mouths of patients, and I only went once a week. So what was the big deal? But she insisted that I was wrong. Then she got our parents involved and they're siding with her. They're telling me I should only be eating at the hospital if I had an actual reason to be there. I told them they were all crazy and it was just normal food that I was paying for. But now, because neither they or I are backing down, I'm torn. Am I the jerk for going out to eat lunch at the hospital cafeteria once a week just because I work nearby? My friend works in the hospital cafeteria, and she posts the specialty daily for anyone who wants to come and enjoy. My mom was a nutritionist at a hospital for years. They always had outside people coming to eat at the cafeteria. If I lived or worked closer to a hospital, I would probably go occasionally for lunch. OP, don't let anyone discourage you from any place that is open to the paying public. For goodness sake, it's a cafeteria. You pay, you eat. I hope the person telling you this is not someone you depend on for real-life answers. You're the jerk. I worked in a hospital cafeteria for 20 years, and I can assure you that no, we don't want the public thinking we are a restaurant. We are tasked with prepping enough food for the patients, employees, and hospital visitors. We are not a public restaurant for your leisure. And everyone's saying, you're paying so it doesn't matter. You obviously don't understand. Hospital cafeteria staff is not paid based on how much we bring in sales. No, most of us are paid by the hour, and managerial positions can be salary. It really infuriates me to see all of you encouraging this kind of behavior when you never worked a day in a hospital cafeteria. Would you show up to a school cafeteria like this? No, because they have enough on their plate without serving random people who want to take advantage of our affordable menu that we offer hospital staff. Honestly, hospital cafeterias can be hidden gems for a good affordable meal. I sometimes meet up with a friend who works near our local hospital precisely because it's a quiet spot with decent options. Feels like a break from the usual dining scene. It's not just about the convenience, it's about the surprisingly good meals you can find there. And honestly, anyone getting worked up over someone enjoying a meal in a public cafeteria probably needs more to do with their time. You're not crashing a private party, you're a customer where the public is welcome. Keep on enjoying your lunches, not the jerk. Rich Karen insults my blue-collar husband, so I made her cry. I, 34 female, have a little sister who's 30, who's married to a wealthy businessman in our state. I'm also married. Both my husband and I work blue-collar jobs. We have very different lifestyles. I personally don't feel comfortable relying on someone to do everything for me, and I'm independent. She, on the other hand, relies on my brother-in-law for everything and doesn't work at all. We aren't close and never have been for other reasons. She lives hours away and recently was in town for a charity event and was staying with me for a week. Immediately, she was rude and judgmental of the way our household runs. She told me it's sad that my two boys share a room and my husband has a game room for himself. I was shocked and told her that the boys are 4 and 2 and they don't need their own huge fancy rooms, and that his game room is half the size of a standard room. She had more to say about other things we did in the house, acting like she's so much better than me and feels bad for me and the kids. We grew up together in an extremely poor household. I don't understand why she was acting like we didn't experience way worse. She was rude the whole stay. My husband even told me she asked him why he doesn't cook or spend time with the boys after he just worked a 10-hour shift. Coming from a lady with a live-in nanny and a chef, I was shocked and appalled by her attitude. I confronted her the next day about chastising my husband, and she said she did it because she felt bad that I did most of the work in the house and he barely did anything. I told her she doesn't do anything. She doesn't work, she doesn't watch her kids, she doesn't clean or cook. All she does is shop and go to charity events, and that my husband works more in a day's shift than she has in years, and to stop acting like she's better than us. She started playing the victim, crying, saying that she was standing up for me and that she just wants me to not feel burnt out. And I told her that I'm sure her husband wishes someone would do the same for him, since all she does is waste his money. This is when she starts acting all high and mighty. She has the nerve to say I'm jealous of her, and that she doesn't waste money, she donates it. And she's worked with this and that organization, and she works and has a job. I told her that her job is being a gold digger. Even if she does donate money, it's not hers since she didn't make it. My husband heard and he laughed, and she said if she's a gold digger, then my husband is a jerk, and that I'm the same, and she left and blocked me, saying that I'm a jerk. She told our brother, and he says I am a jerk since I judge my sister for not doing real work, while my husband's only job is working, and I also work and do everything else, so technically if she's a freeloader, he's even worse. Am I the jerk? She came into my house and insulted us. You're the jerk. She had a point about your husband not spending time with the kids. Also about the boys sharing a room while he has a game room. If he has time for games, he has time to be a father too. Your husband seems useless in the household. Why are you so judgmental against her for being rich? Why does it bother you so much that she has a nanny and a cook? I mean, I get it. Your husband is useless and you probably are burnt out. But honey, that's not your sister's fault. In fact, she seemed to actually stand up for you. Her husband has a room dedicated to gaming when their kids have to share a room. She works, but also does 100% of the housework, cooking, and childcare, and her husband refuses to even spend time with the kids. Sorry, I'm confused. Why is OP obsessively defending her useless husband? And why exactly is her sister a jerk? You're the jerk. All your husband does is work a 9 to 5 like you do. Then you come home and do the cooking and childcare while your husband is tired from working, just like you are. Your sister observes how you do most of the household tasks and sees the imbalance of it. Considering you're both doing it 50-50, he should be cooking and doing childcare as well. Since he's not, he's a gold digger since he's getting free labor from a cook and nanny. You, just like your sister, is a gold digger for getting free labor as well. Looks like you're a hypocrite. Everyone sucks here. Your sister should not be spending her entire stay with you being disrespectful and pointing out all of the problems she sees, and it's fair of you to be upset about that. You suck here because your response was entirely uncalled for. Obviously, her husband doesn't mind being the main breadwinner for their household, and that works for him. And while it may not give her an income of her own, charity work is both real and important work. That being said, she had a point. The way you word your post indicates that you don't dispute that while you and your husband both work, you end up doing the majority of the childcare and housework. Working 10-hour shifts is no excuse to come home and not spend any time with your kids and family or help out around the house as best you can. You sound jealous. I get it, your sister lives a life where she gets everything. She doesn't work, she has help. Heck, I don't even know your sister and I'm jealous. The fact is, she was taking up for you. Was it her place? Nope, but I can't say I don't agree with her. First off, your younger son could use the game room as a bedroom, giving the boy more room to... You really don't think it's okay for a 2- and 4-year-old to be sharing a room? Calm down, Mr. Reddit. Don't forget about your blood pressure. Okay. My deceased father-in-law stole our identities and put us in massive debt. My husband, male 30, and I, female 27, are preparing to buy our first home. We both work full-time, making above minimum wage, but not enough that either of us can get a home with our single income. Yesterday, in a conversation with the bank, we were informed that there are 4 collections accounts in my husband's name, all going back to 2018. Power, internet, and 2 credit cards. After a few hours, we were able to link each one of these accounts to his father's previous address. The bill is just shy of $6,000. After multiple conversations, we've realized the only way to clear this debt from causing issues to his credit rating is to file a police report for fraud. His father passed suddenly last September, and my husband doesn't want to tarnish his father's name and is afraid his family will look down on him for doing this. He's on the fence of how this will look if it gets out. I look at it differently. We took a massive hit paying for the funeral. Father-in-law had no money and no life insurance. I know it's his dad, but it will take us years to recover from the implications of this. None of the recovery agencies are willing to give us a bill paid in full, and even if we do pay this debt, we will lose the down payment that we've busted our tails to raise again over the past 7 months. We aren't even close to having the buying power we had last September because we only saved about half of our original down payment. So, am I the jerk for asking him to make a police report? It's not an ideal situation, but how much more can I let his father's poor financial decision in life impact our future, especially now that he's gone? Clarification for some of the repeated questions. As some of you might have gathered, yes, my husband has heritage reasons for trying to honor his father even in passing. He's also a junior. He's an only child and was raised only by his mother. His father did not sign his birth certificate, but was a large part of his life. His father's estate has gone to probate court to be settled. Because of his accent and his dislike for confrontation, my husband actually had me speak to everyone yesterday. Collection agencies did not have our address or his phone number, which is why they haven't hounded us. Everyone I spoke to has told me they have had no success in reaching him since they acquired the debt. So no, he wasn't hiding something, he just didn't know about it. We've had complications with the credit bureau for the last 3 years trying to access my husband's credit report. We've had to go to the police station and show several pieces of ID, send in letters to confirm his identity. It took the banks to get us to do everything again to resolve the issue. Originally, we thought it was because there was no activity on his credit report. Now we know that at least one account used his father's social with my husband's date of birth and created issues. Finally, for those people who want to know what the price of my bad feelings are, I just paid $18,000 out of pocket to make sure this man wasn't buried in a cardboard box. I loved my father-in-law, and he had told us about his financial struggles. We would have helped him. This isn't even about the money. Yesterday, I asked every agency if they would just put paid in full next to the bill, and I would pay it off. I'll save the money again. They wouldn't take the collections off his credit score. It's not 6 months worth of saving that I'm concerned about. It's 3 to 5 years that the record can stick to his account, which will stop us from purchasing any time in the near future. Finally, my husband needed a minute, but he's called me today at lunch and said he has to do what's right for our future. He's going to go forward with the fraud report this evening. Thank you all for the reassurance. Not the jerk. He tarnished his own reputation by committing identity theft and fraud. You're living and need your credit cleared. Your father-in-law doesn't care anymore. Don't bother telling the family. They likely will never even know about it unless you tell them. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.